Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Lil Tren We Have a Voice. Before we get started, I'm going to give everybody time to join in. So, without further ado, let's get started. But before we get started, if you are in, please share and like the live. And this evening, I have two very special guests and my co-host, as always. But before we get to that, for those who don't know me, my name is Trinity Davis Floyd. I'm 9 years old, and I'm an author of 3 books. I'm an entrepreneur, motivational speaker, actress, model, singer, CEO, and a podcaster of Lil Tren We Have a Voice. So, this evening, like I mentioned, I have two very special guests. And before I introduce my co-host, I have something very special for them. My two special guests are one of a kind. Their love and compassion for the state of New Jersey, in fact, their compassion for the state of New Jersey is remarkable. Their love and compassion for the great city of East Orange is unbeatable. They support not only me, but everyone with their unwavering love. I love them, and you will too. So I'm not going to say the rest yet because I still have to introduce my co-host, Mr. Young Sean A. White. You're on mute.
He's on mute now.
Yes, he's still on
mute. There you go.
Oh, I apologize for that. I was saying hello and happy Friday, everybody. How's everybody doing? This is going to be very, very exciting. So if you can do us a favor, as this is episode 349 of Lil Tren We Have a Voice, along with Transformation Greatness and SBN, the Small Business Network podcast. If you're tuning in live, please just let us know exactly where you're tuning in at, and feel free to comment and engage and interact. And of course, if you're having to catch us on the replay, because it's a Friday, we get it, things is happening, but still put in hashtag replay and still let us know if you got any value, any takeaways from this. So with no further ado, Trinity, back to you.
So help me welcome my assemblywoman and councilman. Please show your love for them. And before they start speaking, I just want to let you know I love you guys and I hope you're prepared.
I hope so too.
So, question number 1. Can you please introduce yourself and let the heartbeats know what you do?
So I go first since Trinity said ladies first. I am the proud Assemblywoman Carmen Teresa Morales, representing the district, Legislative District 34, which encompasses East Orange and Orange, Belleville, Bloomfield, Nutley, and Glen Ridge. So those are the 6 towns that we represent in LD 34. But before I was an assemblywoman, I was a proud high school principal. And I was the principal of the high school I graduated from, which is Essex County North Tech High School. It is a county vocational high school, really accepting students from all over the 22 towns in Essex County. I'm a proud Terrier. So that's what I did before I became an assemblywoman. And now that I'm an assemblywoman, I also still have a full-time job, even though assembly work takes up a lot of my time as well. But my job now is still working for the same school district, but I was promoted to Director of Curriculum and Instruction. So I deal with all the curriculum, instruction, professional development in my district. So that's me.
Yeah.
So, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Trinity. Good evening, Brother Shaw. And to the audience, I'm excited to be here. My name is Berkson Lennius. I'm the councilman representing the 3rd Ward in the great city of East Orange. For those who may not know, the 3rd Ward is Central Avenue to South Orange Avenue, north to south, and east to west is from South Harrison down to Shepherd Avenue. And and then everything in between that little radius that I gave you, and I've been a council person since January 1st, 2018. It's something that I love doing. I love representing the people of the city of East Orange, the place where my parents met and got married, and I owe so much to the city. It's essentially where I was born, and and I just always feel like I always have to give back and make sure that the city knows that I love it in return.
Yes. See, that is wonderful things you guys do. And when I was like 3, my goal was to be an assemblywoman.
Oh, that's a great ambition.
Yes. So, based off what you guys' answers were, this is kind of like a personal question, but not too personal.
Okay.
When are your guys' birthday?
So my birthday is October 13th. So I was born in the month of October. So I have a long way to go. I have 10 more months till my birthday. But his birthday is
July 3rd. I'm Team Cancer, strong.
So his birthday is before me. But I'm older.
So I'm not going to be asking the next question.
Okay.
Mr. Shaw.
Assemblywoman and councilman, it's an honor and an absolute privilege to be speaking with 2 individuals that's really giving back into the community. Those are things in which I actually love. And Assemblywoman Morales, I'm even more impressed that you're doing that while having a full-time job. Like, man, man, that's just awesome. And councilman, great way of giving back as far as in your community. Absolutely beautiful. I have a question for both of you, starting with Assemblywoman Morales. This actually talks about leadership. It's something which that I absolutely love. Okay. In your opinions, what does leadership mean to each one of you, and why?
So I love that question. I think for me, leadership is doing what's right when no one is watching, right? It's about setting an example, being a role model. And I say that because I know that there's a lot of young people watching this as well. Even if they're not watching it live right now, I'm sure it'll hit some young people out there. You don't have to have a title to be a leader, right? It is about you showing that you can do what is right for others. And it's such a good timing to say this because we're celebrating and honoring a legend in this week, which is Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday is on Monday. A lot of schools are off on that day, but he exemplifies leadership. He exemplifies leadership in the sense that he fought for injustices. He fought for just ensuring that people had equal rights. And that's ultimately what leaders do. You could be a young person and you're a leader. You can be an older person and you're a leader. And to me, leadership is about, like I said earlier, doing what's right when no one else is watching. Right? It's no one expects you to do something. And if you're doing it and no one's watching, that's what a leader is. And showing that example to others and being that role model. And I show that all the time. Like I said, I was an educator for many, many years. I ensure that I always listen to my students, activating their voices and showing them what true leadership is, but also giving them the opportunity to be leaders themselves. So that's what it means to me.
And to piggyback, I think one of the great things about leadership is that there are no age restrictions, there are no term limits on leadership. You know, you can essentially be at any age and exemplify the attributes of leadership. Leadership, to me, is the ability of an individual, or I guess group of individuals, to inspire, to motivate, to implore and encourage other individuals to unify around a common goal. And so I think the best leaders have several different attributes, but the main one is just basically and essentially organizing those people to gather and galvanize around a common goal, and then set out to achieve that common goal, and then obviously executing that common goal. And that's what leadership means to me.
Yes.
Those are some very powerful answers. I love that. They really just exemplify what leadership is in a nutshell. I love it. I love it. So, Trinity, I'll pass it back on to you, man.
Question 3. Can you explain your duties and title? Or title and duties?
Sure. So I always get this question about what does an assemblywoman do? Because there's a lot of people that don't know what assembly people do. A lot of people don't even know who their assembly person is. So just to let you know, I am running this election is in June. I'm running as an for my reelection to assembly, as well as my running mate, who is my partner, Michael Venezia, who's also the assemblyman for the 34th Legislative District. We're both running for re-election. And what we ultimately do as assembly people, I like to, because I'm an educator and I love to educate folks, it's kind of like everyone knows who the president of the United States is. A lot of people know what the president of the United States does. A president is equivalent to a governor of a state, is equivalent to the mayor of a city, right? So they're like the governing body of that particular executive branch. So you have the president of the United States, but the president doesn't make the laws, right? They just sign laws into effect. You have two houses which is the executive branch. You have the president of the United States, who ultimately has to listen to Congress and the United States senators, right? So you got Congress and United States senator, and the president is over that branch. In the state of New Jersey, you have the governor. And it's kind of like the same thing where the governor has to listen to two different houses. And in the state of New Jersey, you have the house, the assembly house, and you have senators. And what we ultimately do is we write bills and legislation that end up turning into law. That's what we do. We look at injustices, and most of the time it's usually what's something that's impacting our community. And what's impacting our community is their legislation, is their law that can fix that problem. I like to call ourselves problem solvers. We're problem solvers. Ultimately, we're all problem solvers. We're solving problems that impact our loved ones, that impact our neighbors, that impact our communities, right? So what we do is we just write the bills and legislation that help solve those problems. So I like to make it as easy as possible to understand what our job is. And that's ultimately what it is. We're just, a bunch of legislators down in the state of New Jersey solving the problems for the people that we serve in our legislative districts.
Nice.
And in our form of government, as a city council, and then you have a mayor, it's the two branches of government. You have the administrative branch, which is the mayor, then you have the legislative branch, which is the city council. And both houses are a form of checks and balances to make sure that no body is operating with unchecked power. and responsibilities. And so, we legislate and appropriate. And so we legislate, meaning, we create policies, we do the research, we see how much these individual policies are going to affect our community, obviously in a positive ways, always mentioned. And then we appropriate. And so our primary responsibility as city council members is the budget. We have to, lord over the budget, scour over the budget, research the budget to ensure that we're making the best and most informed decisions for our residents, because ultimately what happens from the budget and what sprouts from the budget is, has an impact on the taxpayers. It has an impact on the businesses. It has an impact on the renters. Schools. It has an impact on the schools. It has an impact on the county. And so it's probably the most arduous task that we have. But it is the most important task. And so our role as city council members, we are the legislative arm of the city.
A lot of responsibility.
Local level, right? And usually that local level then goes up to the state level. Then from the state level, it goes to the federal level.
Man.
County as well.
Oh yeah, we got to put that county in between there.
Yeah.
Man, I can just imagine like some of the boardrooms when they're bringing up certain things. I'm pretty sure it's pretty spirited, to say the least.
To say the least.
Man, wow.
With the city council, you have 10 members, with 10 different personalities, and then you have the mayor as well. And so trying to, navigate that space to make sure that we are all on one common goal. And at the state level, it's even more, you have 80 assembly persons
and 40 senators, 120 legislators that literally make those decisions for the 9.1 million people in the state of New Jersey.
Yeah. Wow. And going back to leadership, it's making sure that everybody is, working together for a common goal.
That's right.
And that goal is the people, no matter what level of government you're in.
That's right.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, welcome again to episode 349 of Lil Tren We Have a Voice, along with Transformation Greatness and SBN, the Small Business Network. We have here Assemblywoman Morales and Councilman on deck here, and they man, I'm just learning a lot too, because I have a fellow colleague that's actually a commissioner, and I know as far as in his respective area, he's definitely in line to be a councilman. So the information that you guys both shared, is very, very interesting, which I'm pretty sure he's aware of that already, but just add on more information. That's just great, man. Wow, I'm just kind of blown away with that. I want to ask both of you guys this question. Of course, Assemblywoman Morales first. What has been the most important lesson that you learned in your life up to this point? What would you say, Davy?
That's a good question.
I love that question. So that question to me speaks to all my years of trial and error, and I think the biggest lesson is believing in yourself, right? Because there's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be people that are going to go against your belief or what you stand for. Stick to who you are, right? And believe that no matter the naysayers out there, we all have this thing, it's called imposter syndrome. And what that just means is that sometimes that we're in spaces that we believe that we don't belong in, whether it be a position that you're trying to apply for, and you believe, oh, you know what, I'm not going to get it because I'm smart enough, or maybe there's somebody better than me. Take the chance. Right? Believe in it. Believe in yourself. Take that chance. Take the risk. It's okay. The worst thing that can happen is that you don't get it. You don't get that job, or someone tells you no. Okay, so you just keep moving. You keep moving forward. So my lesson that I've learned over the years is to, shut the negativity out. Surround yourself with people who will help you grow, whether it's professionally or personally, and will be there for you when those times get hard, but ensuring that you don't give up just because it's scary or you're afraid to move forward. No, take those risks. So that was one of the things that I absolutely learned, is that, you know what, worst thing they can do is say no, or worst thing that can happen is that I don't get that job or I don't get that promotion. But if I don't ask and I don't move forward and I don't believe in myself, it's never going to happen, because I never took that chance on myself. So I would say that for me was a good lesson.
I think that you know, as humans, we're multi-layered, and you know, we have several different aspects to each of us, and so I don't think I can put it down to one thing. So I'm just going to list three of them. First and foremost, God is the answer. God is the way, and even on those times where I didn't feel like myself, or even when those times when I had doubt, I just always remembered, and you know, was reminded to look towards God, and all those opportunities that and the blessings that have come my way is simply because of God. And so I always trust in His word and His light and His path, and you know, the journey that He's put me on. And so that's something that will always remain number one and remain a constant for me. Two, your network can either improve your net worth or decrease your net worth. And so, you know, it's important that, you know, we remember that you have to network. You know, networking is the key, because, you know, once you start to understand that, you know, building your network and expanding upon that, and making sure that that network, you know, supersedes the limits with which the city limits with which you're in. You know, you'll start to see different things, and you'll start to experience different things, and that will only make you a better person overall. And third is discipline. Discipline is overall success. So I'll repeat that. You know, discipline is tantamount to overall success. You know, if you're able to remain disciplined, if you're able to stay vigilant in what it is that you're set out to do and the goals that you're set out to do, you will always win and you will always succeed. If you are somebody who is can succumb to you know, influence, who can succumb to evil, you know, to succumb to laziness, and or you know, different negative things around you, the negative influences, as I stated, then you know, your success is probably going to be limited. And so discipline is the key. And so those are my three things that I had to say, in that order.
You know what, Trinity? Before you go, I wanna say something on that. But before I do, I want to acknowledge, as far as our listeners, that's in attendance. So I want to welcome here Commissioner Dr. James McConnell. That's my business partner. Welcome, welcome. He said truth. We have here Brother James Bryant. He's been commenting like crazy. We definitely appreciate you, brother. We have Kenny Callens, excuse me. I was supposed to say Collins, but Callens. Definitely thank you for listening, for tuning in.
Brother
And
James.
like, so far from what I'm seeing here, you guys are dropping some serious knowledge, because people are definitely commenting, and we always like to go ahead and acknowledge our listeners, because without you guys, there is no podcast, there is no anything. We also have Pastor P in the house, Rainy, and we have here Brother Anthony Floyd. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
All right.
This is what I want to say. That was so profound what the both of you guys said, and I absolutely love that. And I remember when I first started out, right, as being an entrepreneur. And one of my things was like, I always was looking for individuals to not only be able to motivate and encourage and inspire me, but also too that was doing the work and that can share, gems such as this. And with that, it's very important for in our profession, right? You guys obviously is on the front lines. You're dealing with a lot of different aspects. You're doing everything to further the community, me and Trinity as well. And I just believe it's very important for us just to set the right message and also, what's the word I'm looking for? And also too, I guess like I'm kind of tongue tied. That's interesting. That doesn't happen often. But anyway, it's very
First time
important
for
to.
everything.
I'm telling you, right? It's very important for us to set the standard because there are people that are watching. There are individuals that, from as young as Trinity up until about 60 or 70, that have dreams and goals, right? And they're like, man, I would love to do it, but X, Y, and Z, A, B, and C, whatever narrative that may be playing in their minds. So I'm definitely glad that you too have mentioned those gems because that's very, very important. So I just wanted to go ahead and commend you on that. And we definitely appreciate that here. So now, Trinity, I'll pass it back over to you, ma'am. I'm sorry. Thank you for your
Yes.
patience.
Before I ask the next question, I want to give a shout out to Aunt Mandy, Mama Patty, and Dee Dee, and Dr. Gina.
All right.
Shout out to them.
So, if you didn't become a councilman or assemblywoman, what other career would you have pursued or piqued your interest?
So I guess for me, education is I've always been in education. I was preschool teacher, kindergarten teacher, a vice principal. But if I didn't have to do that education work and if I didn't have to be an assemblywoman, I love decorating homes. That's like my passion. I think I would want to be an interior decorator because I have so much fun just thinking about rooms and how I can change them and how I can decorate them and make spaces that people absolutely love, that they can come home to a space that they are in with tranquility and peace and leaving that stress outside the door. But I would love to be an interior decorator. I'm always looking at people's spaces and I'm like, can I give you an advice on how you can move that furniture there or get this piece to elevate it? I helped the councilman in his living space, and it absolutely looks really nice. But I would love to be that. Yeah. What about you?
That is a great question. So, similarly to the Assemblywoman's position, there isn't a space that I would be in where I wouldn't be helping people. So that's first and foremost. But if I was not a council person and I was not in the community activism space, I probably would be in the fashion and entertainment industry. It's something that I love. I love getting dressed. I love the nuances of fashion. I love everything about it because I just remember when I was younger, my mom and my father used to always tell me, when you dress good, you feel good. It just kind of sets the tone for your day. And so it's something that to this day still applies. I think that everyone could attest to that, when you feel good and you dress good, it just kind of reverberates through your whole body. The next thing you know, you just start walking a little different. You start talking a little different. You start carrying yourself a little different. And, you're and most of all, and most importantly, you hold your head held high. And I think that's what, fashion and things like that do for me. And I know it does that for most people. That's something that I'll probably be involved in some capacity. Great question.
Very good.
Indeed. This question here, I'm very curious on both of your responses to this. In both of your professions, I just can't imagine. But how do you two handle the stress and the pressures of the position on a day in and day out basis?
Good question.
Oof.
That's a it's a very good question. Um, I like that question because just recently I had to deal with how am I going to deal with a lot of the pressures and the stress that's happening? Because not only am I an assemblywoman and a director of curriculum, I'm also finishing up my dissertation to become Dr. Carmen Teresa Morales. So I'm involved in grad school as well. So I'm getting my doctorate. Prayerfully, I'm done this semester so I can graduate in May. I'm holding myself accountable for that one.
Nice.
So the pressure and the stress is building. So what I did was I eliminated distractions. And what I did was I eliminated all social media off my phone because it was becoming to be a huge distraction for me, which was increasing my level of stress. Because if I'm taking time to be on social media, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, I am not focusing on writing my dissertation or reading an article that I need to read for work or planning, events for the assembly. So what I did was I eliminated distractions. That was the first thing that I did. The second thing that I did was I shut everything out. So when I'm looking for some peace and quiet, I choose to be home in the comfort of my home, just eliminating all the loudness that's just happening with the world and just come and I pray and I meditate and I come to focus on what it is that I need to do so that I do not overwhelm myself or overly stress myself. So by eliminating the distractions first and then coming into a space of peace and quiet so that I can meditate and pray on the things that I need to do, that's what has been helping me through this. And of course, surrounding myself with people like the councilman here who helps me through thinking through things and just, making life a little bit easier if I need be. For example, taking out a garbage when I just have too much going on. But those are the things that has been helping me eliminate stress, eliminate those distractions, and just come into the peace of the quietness and the stillness of life.
So, once again, I think that we're not a monolith, and so we're multifaceted, human beings. So the two things that immediately come to mind is prayer. Prayer is something that I rely on heavily. It is like my starter for the day. It's my starter for the day. It's my activation in the afternoon, and it's my a device that I use to help me go to sleep and just lay my head down at night knowing that I did the best that I could. So prayer is probably my number one answer, and two is the gym. I'm a big comic book guy, and Superman had what's called his Fortress of Solitude, and so the gym is my Fortress of Solitude. I go, I put my headphones on, I listen to my music, probably like some smooth R&B or something like that, and and I just kind of zone out. I don't take the worries in with me when I go into the gym. I leave them at the door, and obviously when I walk out the door, then they come back on. But the gym is that space for me.
Awesome. 1,000%. Somebody has a question here for you, Miss Cal. I'm sorry, Kenny Collins has a question. They want to know how many years that you've been doing on what you do. I'm assuming as being an assemblywoman and you as being a councilman.
So assemblywoman, I was elected in January 2024. So I just celebrated my first year as being an assemblywoman. So the assembly seat is every 2 years, so it's a 2-year term. So we get elected every 2 years into that position.
I was sworn in council January 1st, 2018. So this is my 7th year.
And we're both running for re-election in 2025.
Yep. But we need all your support out there.
Right.
Get out and vote, peoples.
3rd Ward and LD 34, we need you to come out and support.
It's a June primary for me.
I will be there.
And Mama be there.
And Mom will be there. So this one is a short question, short answer. No, I'm joking. What advice could you give to the youth today?
I think there's just so much that advice that I can give to the youth. I would spit them out on a daily basis, because as a high school principal, I was just faced with so many different challenges from students and barriers that, my office became a home away from home for a lot of my students. And it just depended on what they were facing at the time, what challenges they were facing. That I can only speak from my own experience with dealing with young people. But if I can give any advice to any young person out there, is that I would say eliminate the noise. There's so much noise out there, whether it be the negativity, the distractions, the video games, the cell phones, the bullying. Just eliminate the noise and stay focused. I always told my students, set small goals. When you set small goals and you reach those small goals, they start to build confidence and self-esteem. So start with a small goal. And I would say the small goal could be like, listen, I'm going to wake up tomorrow at 8:00 in the morning. That's a small goal. If I had students that would come to school late, I would tell them to set a small goal of at least, let's get this week out of the way, where you're getting up early and you're making it to school on time. Because when you do that and you praise them for meeting those goals and accomplishing those goals, those small goals will then turn out to be bigger goals and bigger goals and bigger goals. And when you feel successful in reaching a small goal, it's not going to stop you from setting another one and another one and another one. So stay focused, set those small goals that are achievable and reachable so that you can start building that sense of accomplishment and success. So I would tell my young people so many different things, but to the audience that's watching, that's not just for young people. That's for adults as well. We all should be setting small goals that are achievable and reachable to gain that sense of self-esteem and accomplishment, so that then we can stay focused on the bigger goals that we want.
Just short and sweet. Do not to let anyone, tell you what your goal should be for you. Don't let anyone, detract and take you off the tracks of your journey in your life. I think that as youth, you must follow the 3 Ds. You have discipline, decisiveness, and diligence. And the 3 of them are interconnected, because you need discipline, as I stated earlier, to make sure that you stay on the path. You need decisiveness, is when you make that decision, as if the thing that you want to go for it, that you stick to it and you go for it full steam ahead. And diligence, you must remain strong, no matter what happens, you must remain strong, because life is surely going to knock you down. But, how many times are you going to get up, and there's that old saying, if life knocks you down 7 times, you get back up 8. And so, those 3 things, those 3 Ds, of success, you need those 3 things. They're interconnected, and, they're only as strong as your weakest link. And so if you lack in discipline, then, almost surely you're going to lack in the other 2. If you lack in diligence, you're going to lack in the other 2. And so, you must stay strong to achieve your goals. And so if you can do that, you can block out the noises, the Assemblywoman stated, then nothing can stop you.
Yes.
That was powerful. I mean, that was definitely spot on. And it looks like, too, and pardon the interruption, Trinity, I'll pass it back to you, but it looks like someone has a question, and it looks like we're going to go back with Kenny Callens. They have a question for the two of you, I guess, and I'm trying to read this correctly. I want to make sure I'm saying this correctly. Does they have anything for the old people, or I guess do we have any advice for the older generation? I think.
So, I mean, my advice was not only for young people, but for any generations. Set those goals small. Do I have any advice for the older generation? Don't ever forget where you come from. Pass on your knowledge to the next generation. I like to, we all have our oral history of our past and how we grew up and the way we grew up. Pass that on to the next generation of young people. Sometimes we forget that how we grew up and the places that we grew up was so special to us. And sometimes young people need to hear that. They need to hear, like, how was it when you were in school? Was it different than how it is now? Absolutely it is. How was it being out in the neighborhood? I mean, growing up, for a lot of us, we used to play outside, and outside was safe. It was safe to be outside, playing with your peers and coming home when the lights were turned on and the street lights turned on. Those were the great times. We were playing hopscotch outside. Kids nowadays don't even know what hopscotch is, or red light, green light, or all these different outside games. Young people don't hear that anymore. And when we share that with the young generation, it's nice to teach them something that they may not know about, because it's just been erased. It's just been taken away. So I would just say, listen, continue to share your knowledge, share your experience, share your expertise, give advice, when it's asked, and if it's something that fits the question, continue to share your knowledge.
I think the advice, again, just agreeing with the Assemblywoman, the advice that I gave is not age specific. It can apply at any age and any age group. And I know the person mentioned older. I'm going to say seasoned. And so for our seasoned community, if I can give additional advice, because like I stated, discipline, diligence, and decisiveness. But if I can give additional advice, it would be exactly what the Assemblywoman said. There's a word Sankofa. It's a Western African word, and it just means go back and fetch it. And so when they stated go back and fetch it, they weren't speaking about, material possessions. They were talking about the young people. And so we have a responsibility on this earth to ensure that we leave the world better than how we found it. So that is a single attribute that we are assigned to by God for each and every person. And so we must go back and fetch it. And so we must take our trinities of the world. We must take our Zendayas of the world. As Zendayas, I'm just mentioning young people that are mentees of mine. And we must teach them the things so that way they can be better than us at, the age of 9 than we were at the age of 9. And so, I just say Sankofa, go back and fetch it. So for our seasoned community, just remember to please reach out to our youth if you're have the ability. And if you don't know, please reach out to our office, and we can maybe partner you with the school district and or some type of organization to where you can be active in helping rear our young people, because that's what they need. They need us.
I have a question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
This is Latanya Davis. So how can people how can people get in contact with you, an Assemblywoman, if they have any concerns or issues?
Is there a way of writing it in the chat? I can give everyone my email address. Is ASWMORALES@njleg.org.
Let's do this one better. Once that this is over with, you guys would then have the ability to actually go back to this, and in the comment section, you can put all your social media
Perfect.
handles,
Yep.
all your contact information. That would be best.
Yes, that would be awesome. That would.
Mhm.
Alrighty.
And also, I apologize. I know it's your show.
It's
I would
fine.
like to give a special shout out to Mr. Roshan Davis.
Yes.
Also because he's a firefighter and he wants to connect with Trinity on some of the things that Assemblywoman Morales and Councilman Lennox was talking about, the old school, getting back with the youth, hopscotch and stuff like that.
Double Dutch.
And double dutch. So him and Trinity are working on that, and I would love for you to join in with that with them for that project. So I know it's for like December. So special shout out to him and thank you for confirmation.
I love that.
Well, before the last question, I have something to say. At an event, there was a double dutch, so I was like, "Am I gonna do it? No, I'm too scared." But then I did it, and I did it. So I was like, "Wow!"
You didn't let fear stop you.
Because I was nervous, and I was like, "Oh no!" But then I did it. So
That's the decisiveness. You decided to do it, and you executed it.
That's right.
It's actually fun.
It is.
Awesome.
So, where do you see yourselves in the next 5 years? It actually says in the future, but then you guys would be like, oh, in the next what years to the future? So I was like, Pacific, 5 years.
5
That's
years.
a good question. Ooh, there you going first.
I hope I'm still an Assemblywoman in the LD 34. But I don't know. I think for me, I whatever it is, I hope that I'm still giving back to the community, especially the community that has given me so much. I grew up in the South Ward of Newark. I grew up in the projects in the South Ward of Newark. I'm the first in my family to go to college, to graduate from college, to be a professional in the sense of higher education. And so whatever I'm doing in the next 5 years, I hope and I pray that I'm continuing to give back to the community that has given me so much. And whatever that means, wherever God sets my path, I am going to be obedient in that and ensure that I am always giving back to the community.
I can agree.
I think on a community basis, as the councilman, just ensuring that the city is in, again, a better place than how I found it. As on a professional level, growing my business. I created a new business, like a couple months ago. And so I'm just hopeful that will be growing, and then growing with the Assemblywoman here. So those are my goals.
Okay, wow. Yes. Those are.
And Mr. Sean said they are perfect for each other. I see the chemistry so much.
I'm actually going to pin that, actually.
You're gonna
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely see that, because as being a coach and a hypnotherapist practitioner and a radio and TV personality, I get an opportunity to really, speak with a lot of people, and I can sense certain things, and I can definitely see just the chemistry, and I can see they're a perfect pair for each other. So I can see in 5 years all those things happening and manifesting for sure. For sure.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Well, I can see in 5 years you two getting married.
I can see absolutely.
Trinity's ready.
Trinity, putting it out there.
Indeed.
Well, unfortunately, that is all for tonight. But once again, if you have any youth or anybody that does amazing things that you would like me to interview, you can contact my mom on Facebook at Latanya Davis.
Very good.
So remember, heartbeats, never give up. And before we go, I want to say thank you to my guests, my co-hosts, and this very respectful audience that we had this evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Trinity. Thank you, Brother Sean.
Thank you, Brother Sean.
Latanya, Anthony, the entire Davis
the whole
Floyd family. Thank you.
Thank you for having us this evening. It was a joy.
And I just want to say one thing as well, guys. They are doing a lot of great things in their respective communities. Please go out and support. Definitely, we need more individuals like that in that particular space. So, by all means, if you see this episode and you are inspired and compelled, and you want to get in contact with them, please make sure that you do, and definitely go out and support. That's the main thing. Liking is one thing, but the best thing you can do for Assemblywoman and councilman is to go out there and support. Make your voice matter. Make it count.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And remember to vote.
Love that, Trinity. That's right. If they're not registered, go ahead and register. But we can send all that information. And again, we'll send all our contact information, our Facebook pages, our Instagram pages, our emails, all that, so that people can get in contact with us.
Excellent. Excellent.
And we will put it up.
Great.
Absolutely.
So remember, heartbeats, never give up.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
heartbeats.
Have a good night.
Good night. Have a great evening.
Good night, everybody.
Awesome.